77 WABC invite you to a family fun day and softball showdown on July 20th with net proceeds benefiting Shriners Children's. John Sterling will call the game as the FDNY takes on the NYPD with special guests Dwight Gooden, Art Shamsky, 77 WABC hosts, including Sid Rosenberg, Anthony Cumia, Lionel, Dominic Carter, and many more. For more info and to buy tickets, go to ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. That's ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. The More Money Show with Steve Moore. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back, folks, to the More Money Show. And now I am so pleased to bring on Bob and Ryan Payne, two good friends, two of the smartest people I know in the financial markets. You see Ryan on all the time on Stuart Barney and with on the Mornings with Maria on Fox Business and so on. These guys are smart. They can tell you how to make more money. That's why I have them on the show. Gentlemen, thanks for joining today.
Great to be here, Steve. It's been too long, my friend.
It has. Okay, so Bob, you're the senior fellow in this relationship. So I want to go with you because you have so much, age goes with wisdom. That's what I've found over the years. So I like the market a lot, Bob. I'm very pleased with the way things are going, especially compared to 4 months ago when in mid-April, the dot market was down 2,000 points and I was on the ledge ready to jump. So things have really improved a lot. And by the way, I have to say, you guys have been pretty bullish. You've been pretty right. Even when everybody else was running for the exits, you guys were pretty prescient in what was going to happen with the market. Now, is all the good news been priced in yet, Bob, or what do you think?
No, I just think we're at the beginning of a big booming bull market, Steve. We've had, you take this year, we were at all-time record highs in December, and all of a sudden we had the Trump tariff announcements, and the market went into a tizzy, right? So we had a big 19% correction. That's already been wiped out. If you went away for a couple of months,
so hold on, Bob, hold on. So you're saying that the market was down almost 20%?
Yep, it was down at 20% on the.
Wow. Wow. And it's made up almost all of that, right?
It's made all of it, and now we're ahead for the year. And it's not just the U.S. market; it's also the global markets. That's where we're making the most money this year. In Europe, Japan, we're up over 20% year to date.
So, Bob, what caused the turnaround?
Well, first of all, the markets don't like to be surprised. So we had what we call a black swan event. When something unexpected happens, the market reacts to uncertainty by hitting the sell button and then trying to figure it out later. Meanwhile, the economy's been resilient. Earnings estimates are going up. Tariffs, just like we said on that recession, Steve. How many years we talked about recession? We kept saying it's a no-show. It's a no-show. It's not going to show up. Well, we're not having any tariff inflation either.
Yeah. Well, the old saying is that economists have predicted 4 of the last 2 recessions, so they keep they're so pessimistic. So, Ryan, what do you think it is? Is it the here? Well, let me tell you my theory, Ryan, and then you're the financial expert. So tell me if you agree or disagree. So as I look at the market over the last 6 months, and I basically agree with Bob that we reached that low point in mid-April when all the talk, as you know, for the first few months of the Trump presidency was tariff. And in my opinion, Bob, people don't like tariffs, and investors certainly don't like tariffs. And then when Trump started talking about trade deals and getting some of these deals done, all of a sudden the market improved. And I wonder, so that means if Trump can continue to get trade deals, I kind of agree with Bob. I think that it's a sunny future.
Yeah, I think bottom line is Trump's still talking about tariffs, right?
Yeah, right.
He is talking about trade deals, but he's still talking about tariffs.
Ryan, he's never going to stop talking about tariffs. It's his favorite word.
I think, yeah. Canada had a rude awakening today. Brazil the other day. It just depends on the day. But I think, the point is, and I think markets are very good at pricing the future. And the reason the market started rebounding all the way back on April 9th and still going higher, even with Trump talking about tariffs, is the fact that I think we've come to the realization it's a negotiating tactic, right? At the end of the day, I don't know where the tariffs are going to end, right? If I'm China, it wasn't at 100%, right? Maybe it's at 40, 30% today. But I think what we're coming to the conclusion here is Trump creates as much chaos as possible to finally get the deal that he wants. And I think that's what the market's resolved to. There will be tariffs. It probably won't be as crazy as some of these initial numbers are, but it's not enough to derail the economy, and it's not enough to derail the profit cycle. And I think that's what the market's telling you right now, Steve.
I think there's a lot of truth to that. Now, Ryan, what do you make of the tax bill? And I want to ask both of you guys your opinions. I'm over the moon on this. I think it's a great bill. I think it takes a lot of uncertainty out of the market in terms of where we're headed with tax policy because these tax cuts were made permanent. But some of my friends say, oh my gosh, the deficit's going to go through the roof and that kind of thing. What's your take, Ryan, on the tax bill? Is it big and beautiful?
Well, first off, I'm not ready to join Elon Musk's American Party yet. So I do think, I do like the fact that we do have clarity to your point. We at least we know where we stand, right? We know we're going to extend the tax breaks, which is huge. I think one of the biggest deals is for small businesses is some of the deductions they're able to take on interest that they weren't able to take before. That goes right to the bottom line. We know with real estate, there's some big deductions you can take up front. So I think for small businesses specifically, you think about small cap stocks. If you're an investor right now, you've got a lot of tax advantages you didn't have just a couple days ago. So I think overall with that clarity, with some of the tax breaks, we know some of the middle class got tax breaks too, Steve, right? Whether it's no taxes on Social Security, on overtime, depending on what income bracket you're in, on tips. All that helps the middle class. All that helps spending. So I think overall, the fact that we have clarity, we have some tax breaks specifically for businesses and consumers. Another reason why you're seeing the market go higher here.
I'm talking to Ryan and Bob Payne from Payne Capital Management. And folks, these guys have been with this show, I think, from the very, very start. Without Bob and Ryan Payne and Payne Capital Management, this show wouldn't exist. So I can't tell you how much we appreciate your sponsorship of the show. Bob, swinging it back over to you, what are the kind of warning signs that people should be nervous about, notwithstanding the fact that I think the three of us tend to be very bullish, but are the things to worry about?
Well, first of all, the market always climbs this gigantic wall of worry, right? So it's, right. It's always the case, right, Steve? Yeah. So when you get one of those one of those bricks of worry, right? We have inflation. People are worried about inflation right now. The Federal Reserve is worried about inflation, worried about whether or not tariffs are going to cause more inflation. There's geopolitical risk, right? We still have conflict going on in the Middle East. We still have Ukraine and Russia going at it. So you have that type of geopolitical headwind, which could have a big impact on oil. But meanwhile, what we've been seeing is oil's been coming down in price, which is a tax cut for the global economy. And I think that's why you're seeing global inflation come down and global economies are growing.
Well, that's a really important point, and great minds think alike because, the reason we're all supply siders is when you increase the supply and productive capacity of the country, that causes prices to fall. I mean, and I think you're right. So you're seeing inflation tame, and what about in Europe and in Asia? Are you seeing the same thing?
Yeah, we're actually seeing inflation come down pretty fast over in Europe, but they're also cutting interest rates in the different economies. And this is where, a lot of the Trump administration just had a phenomenal impact on the global economy because he just said, hey, we're done paying for everybody's defense. So all of a sudden you have Germany and the European Union, they're starting to put expansionary measures in place. They're spending money on their own defense and their own infrastructure, Steve. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, it's about time. It's about time. Ryan, just very quickly, tell people how they can get in contact with Payne Capital Management and the services you provide.
Yeah, you can check out our firm at bebullish.com. That's bebullish.com. And it's our last name, Payne, is Payne.
By the way, that's so easy to remember, folks. Bebullish.com. I mean, how can you not remember that? I love it.
It goes right with our belief of the world, right? You should be optimistic, not pessimistic, Steve. And I think that's the point right now, too. It's a really good point, is the fact that you've got the whole world is spending on their economy. And I think that's, President Trump's viewpoint is like he wants everyone to benefit, right? It's not just about it's U.S. first, but, we don't want conflict. We want commerce everywhere. And I think that's what you're seeing, whether it's we've given our tech stack to Saudi Arabia or we're, trying to stop the conflict in the Middle East or settle that. So I think overall, especially as you're building your portfolio right now, you have a great opportunity where, a lot of our clients are baby boomers. They need income. By diversifying properly right now, you can get a lot of cash flow, not just vesting in the AI trade, which everybody loves, but getting some income and betting on the fact that the whole global economy is going to benefit right now. And that's great for the U.S. and that's great for everybody. And I think that's actually the golden moment that you have right now.
So what countries do you guys like? I mean, I'm generally with you in terms of I think we share an optimism and realism about what's going on with the economy. So are there particular regions or countries that you're bullish on right now? I'll start with you, Bob.
I'm very bullish on the United States of America.
Me too.
First of all, so that's my go-to country right now, Steve. And we do dominate the global economy. But what's happening now is you're starting to see the dollar came down about 10% this year. And when you have that, when you have a weaker currency, it tends to help your investments in other parts of the world, like Europe, like Japan, like the emerging markets like India. And so we're seeing this, significant impact this year, just from the difference in currencies. Now, of course, I just booked a trip to Italy at the worst time, right? So I'm going to be paying through the nose for this trip, but I'm making a lot of money in the U.S. market, so I'm not. I'm gonna cry all the way to the bank right now, Steve.
Well, Bob, I got to tell you, my wife and I just got back from a cruise through Spain and Italy and had a great time. And I hope you have we had great weather and everybody. It's so interesting, Ryan, when I go abroad like that, and I don't travel abroad all that often, but people always come up to me asking about Trump, and there's a fascination with Donald Trump and what's happening here in America. But do you know what? Okay, so we all agree about U.S. Ryan, do you have other countries you think are ready to explode?
I think, anywhere in the emerging markets, if you think about Latin America specifically, they do have rare earth minerals, not as much as China, but that's a place for
what country was that?
You could say Brazil, Argentina, Chile, anywhere that has commodity-based economy. And those markets are up actually 30% this year. But again, just as a diversifier to Bob's point, when you're thinking about living off your portfolio, you want to hedge against currency. You want dividends, and that's exactly where you can get a lot of dividends, is abroad. So whether it's the emerging markets, whether it's just developed Europe, I mean, Germany's probably the best performing stock market in the world this year, which is hard to believe. So you want that European exposure as well. But I think, the most important thing you can do right now, Stephen, we look at maybe way too many portfolios a month, is we see too many people concentrated with their money in the same place. And that's what we call the AI enablers, right? Whether you're in NVIDIA, you're the Magnificent Seven, you're Microsoft, Amazon, Google, you name it. But really right now, you've got every company benefiting from artificial intelligence and productivity.
I was just going to ask you about that, but we just got a couple minutes left. And so you just went right where I wanted to go, Ryan, which is AI. I just spoke at a big global conference, and everybody was talking, financial conference. Everybody was, coming up to me asking me about AI. I'm a pretty big believer in this. Look at NVIDIA. I mean, I think, gentlemen, we only have a couple minutes left, but if you both, I'm sure, saw the big headline in the Wall Street Journal earlier this week that basically said NVIDIA is now the first $4 trillion company. $4 trillion, by the way, that's a lot.
Yes.
So but it makes me nervous. I'm thinking, my gosh, if their valuation is $4 trillion, I don't know if I want to get into that, but what do you think, Bob?
Well, I think you missed a gigantic move, Steve.
No, by the way, can I just say,
the best performing stock in the world.
My wife does our investing, and I got to tell you, 5 years ago, she bought NVIDIA, and it's the only good investment I've ever made in my whole life.
So, Bob, what I'm hearing is lunch is on Steve next time.
I think that should be the way it is, Brian.
I didn't tell you about my losers, but...
But no, I think every company becomes an AI company, and NVIDIA has been a tremendous stock, and that area of the market's been very, very strong. But you're also seeing, great movement now in mid-sized companies and value companies. So there's, every company's going to benefit from advanced technology. So you're going to see higher productivity, higher profit margins, and as a result, higher earnings and higher dividends.
That's why I have you guys on the show, because I agree with you. I couldn't.
We're here to enable you, Steve. Our job is to enable you.
All right, well, folks, that's Bob and Ryan Payne of Payne Capital Management. They've been with this show from the very start. I think they're two of the best in the business. One more time before we sign off, how do people get in touch with you guys?
Absolutely. Just go to bebullish.com. Steve, that's bebullish.com, www.bebullish.com.
All right, guys, have a great weekend, folks. That's Bob and Ryan Payne. This is the More Money Show, and we'll be right back.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
77 WABC invites you to a family fun day and softball showdown on July 20th with net proceeds benefiting Shriners Children's. John Sterling will call the game as the FDNY takes on the NYPD with special guests Dwight Gooden, Art Shamsky, 77 WABC hosts including Sid Rosenberg, Anthony Cumia, Lionel, Dominic Carter, and many more. For more info and to buy tickets, go to ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. That's ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org.